For sure. Get it out there. I don't even know what the thumbnail looks like. Mommy ain't game changer. Quick. I saw Ben and from NBC News, and I was speaking to him for a moment. And get some people on here. Where's all the people at? What's up? Who's there? I see one person. On. Who is it? Who is that one person? 2 people now. Let's go. Let's get some traction. 5 people. Come on, tweet it there. Get it out there, y'all. Let's get some people on this live stream. From Dubai. What's up? Worldwide Yang Yang. Hey, how are you? So that guy just said, "What's up, Russell?" That's pretty cool. So Yang Yang,
1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
as y'all know, oh, you do. Trumpers for Yang is a real thing. We're here. We're not going away. We're Yangocrats, and we're here for Andrew Yang. If y'all saw the Business Insider piece on us,
Jesse, actually,
it was a really good piece. Thank you, Business Insider, for taking the time to interview us. It was really awesome. So here's where Andrew's going to be speaking. Have y'all seen this guy before? Somebody put it in the chat who this gentleman is. He is hard at work. Tweet it out. Get it out there. Make sure that we get some eyeballs on this. Yes, I am in Iowa, Chase. The Grassroots Yang Gang family thought it was very important that one of us be here, and then the other one, Mommy Yang Gang, is canvassing in New Hampshire and holding it down in New Hampshire. And I am down here in Iowa, and I am yanging people left and right, y'all. Listen, after these events and stuff, there's a lot of people who are going up to talk to Andrew Yang, and they see me talking to y'all, and they stop and they want to know who we are. And so we're talking to people on a bigger scale than we can probably ever do on, like the canvassers do, as far as this part of it goes. It's two different areas. I mean, you got to do the math on that. Our voice is getting out to a lot of people, and it's allowing us to get out to these news outlets like Business Insider and CNN and Fox News. Shout outs to Rob DiRienzo holding it down up there in the New Hampshire area. Yang Media shout out. Speaking of Yang Media shout outs, we kind of like this guy right here too. He's pretty cool. He does a great job covering this area. He's probably not allowed to acknowledge me. It's okay. I'll try to take a selfie with him here in a little bit.
What's up?
I said, I'm talking to the Yang Gang, and we're talking about you being hard at work.
Oh, yeah.
We were also talking about what a great job you do covering the stuff up here for NBC.
I didn't change the light bulbs in the middle. I don't think I'm going to get to
So
it.
make sure y'all tweet this out. Get it out there, y'all. Get the live stream out there.
What about that? Oh, that goes.
Hey, we're trying to, but listen, y'all got this. I mean, we need y'all support. You know we can't do it without you. That's how it look. It took a half a tank It was literally 80 something miles. Took an hour and 20 minutes to get here from the last event. That's crazy, y'all. So, I mean, that's a half a tank of gas right there. So, any dollar that y'all can donate, we appreciate it. Super chat it, donate it in the other links in the other descriptions. Probably won't be on here yet. What do I think about Wallace bringing a lefty argument against Andrew on Fox? Here's what I think. Here's my take. Somebody brought this up in one of the comments on the video, and it's my take too. I think that Wallace was doing it because it is a Fox show. But if you know Wallace, he's a Democrat. Pretty sure he's a Democrat. So what he was kind of doing, I think, in a weird way, was trying to make Andrew more appealing to the conservative side by playing the devil's advocate. So, you know, I don't know. And these are arguments that people are going to bring. These are arguments that I actually had when I was looking into Andrew Yang. You know, coming from the conservative side, you know, your first instinct is that word handout. You know, nobody wants a handout. I damn sure don't want a handout. Although $1,000 a month did sound appealing at the time, and it still does. I mean, the broke folk vote is real. So make sure you hit that like button for the algorithms, comment, all that stuff. Ask me questions. I'm here for y'all. Turn this around. So
if you could scoot in a little bit.
So you can.
Or out. Like out would be your safest bet. Thanks. Now I'll get you some power and watch your malt hook up. Sorry about this.
Good. Hard at work. Y'all are getting an inside look at the behind the scenes. Y'all didn't even, what other channel are you gonna see this on? Only this one, Yang Yang. Only this one. Why don't I see any kind of comments? Let's see live chat. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. When is the event? It's supposed to be starting here really, really soon. I think officially the doors open and people are starting to come in now. I'm thirsty, y'all. I am in a saloon and I don't have anything to drink. That is something integrally wrong with that. Somebody out there buy me a drink or something. I keep looking around here and I'm waiting to see Steve Marchand. I miss Steve Marchand. He's probably hard at work up there in New Hampshire for sure. Him and all the rest of the Yang Gang up there are turning out. Y'all saw the polls, man. Y'all saw the polls. We are active in New Hampshire, and I told you before when these polls came out, I was like, don't trust the polls, man. The polls are wrong, dude, because I've seen it with my own eyes, and now I'm starting to see it even more, and it's pretty crazy. So I think Mama Yang Gang's looking for me for a place to stay. Where am I staying in Iowa? Different places. I'm having to stay in hotels. And whatnot. So yeah, we're footing the bill on everything. So if y'all can help out, please help out. Like, share, subscribe, donate if you can. Donation links are in the other descriptions and the other videos. I'm sure Mama Yang has got them all up in there. You got to click that little drop down box. The super chats are awesome, and we end up getting those like a month later, and those help out, but those don't help out like immediate. Like if you want to help out immediately, links are in the other descriptions. We appreciate it. Someone turn this
Anyone
around.
else that says like Joaquin,
That's West Des Moines, okay? Like the Waukee.
You're an Iowan now.
Waukee is like a suburb of.
You're an Iowan. Only an Iowan would know
It's the
that.
same thing. They're like, oh, we're in Indianola. I'm like, oh, you're in South Carolina.
NBC's just gonna move you here for a minute. You're an
That's it. I was just joking. I was like, oh, I should cover the Hawaii primary after this.
Yeah. You're like, I deserve it.
Yeah. One of the Iowa embeds for CBS is going to California.
Oh, God.
Nice.
That's a good trade-off.
He's going to San Francisco.
See, Yang Yang, on this channel, you get to see construction workers. You get to see behind the scenes, the news people interacting with each other. You get to see all kinds of crazy stuff on this channel. Roosters crowing. Yes, absolutely.
Hey.
Say hi to the Yang Yang.
Hello, Yang Yang. I want to see, do you mind if I just like relocate you?
Where would you like?
Somewhere else. I want to try to reserve the space for the press because it's a little tight. So, is there another spot you think would be good? I just think we're gonna have 3 cameras in this space. So I'm gonna try to reserve this for them. But what do you think?
You're getting shouted down in the chat, right?
I mean, probably.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. This is the behind the scenes.
Right, for sure. And we're here for the campaign.
Yeah.
We go. Can we go over on that side?
Absolutely. Better you be closer. That's what I'm
I mean, I can scrunch up over there if you need me to. Cause look, what's awesome, Yang Yang, is we will be in the documentary.
Gang gang.
I can be right. I can get right here, just out of the way. Is that cool? All right, sweet deal. I'll keep this tight so that people.
I mean, he's adjusted something.
See, Andrew's used to us being right here. If I set up, you know, if you need me to, I can get back here. Would that be better for you?
He might be in your face.
He's always in our face.
Face of somebody I know. It's my sister's sister. I like that. No, I think this is. No, it's even worse. Yeah, he's gonna move out.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Following orders.
Absolutely.
Getting
I
everyone
get
what
it.
they need to be. All right, thanks, Yang Gang, for your patience.
All right, so we have been relocated again. And this is the angle you're gonna get right now. And you know what? Honestly, I don't know where. Make sure y'all tweet this out there. Come on, y'all. 81 people. That's like the lowest total we've ever had.
Yeah.
I need Trumpian estimates.
Is that,
Okay. Look. You see what Mama Yang Yang is doing in the chat right there, right? She's trying to get me riled up. It's not gonna work. I'm here for the campaign, and that's all that matters. Because you know what? NBC ain't gonna be in the documentary. They're not gonna be the ones that see, I mean, we're the ones that are seeing history change right before our eyes, and that's why we're here on this channel. That's why we bring you all this things. Because we are witnessing history change. So Andrew should be here any minute, y'all. What time is it? I don't know what time it is. It's for sure different when a nice lady tells you to move instead of a man. Yes, that's for sure. For sure, Mama. Yeah. I don't know what it is. When a dude tells me to move, I get mad. I get my back up.
But you know what?
It's like I don't know. It's like impugning my manhood or something.
We need other people.
A woman does. We got some people filing in here, y'all, to see Andrew Yang, the next president of the United States. The polls are wrong. The Yang Gang is going to come out in force. Y'all going to be shocked come caucus day and come primary day in New Hampshire. No, I did not get any food yet. I have not eaten today. I have not eaten. We haven't made enough money to eat yet today, Mama. There's been only a few super chats and stuff. It's all good. We'll get some dinner in a little bit. I'll get some dinner in a little bit. Y'all make sure you tweet this out. The more eyeballs on it, that the more people that can help out. Tweet it out. And Mama Yang Gang, you're supposed to be telling people in the chat to tweet it out instead of telling me to get food. I need some music, man. Where's the music at? Y'all didn't tune in to see me dance. I know that. There's only 77 people in there. Yep. 79. Thank you, PV. Thank you so much for PayPal. PayPal gets here instantly. That's for sure. That can go in the gas tank. And get some food over here. They look like they got all kinds of food. And they definitely have beer, and I'm definitely thirsty. Definitely thirsty. Look, as soon as Andrew goes into his stump speech, I can fade to the back and order something maybe. So we appreciate it. Yes, every dollar helps. 84 people. Liquid lunch, liquid dinner. It don't matter. I'm just thirsty. I'm talking. I'm gonna let y'all see the crap. Crowd's starting to file in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7,000 Californians right there. Yes, sir.
Steal this corner, okay?
No problem. Watch, he's about to say tweet this out. I would never say that. There's where the real news people are, I guess. It's okay. We got a better spot anyway. Excuse me. They're starting to pack in here, Yang Gang. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I gotta get on here a little bit early, and I'm actually not even early. Look, check this out, y'all. Y'all, listen. Okay. Here's the thing about, let me see if I can break this down to y'all. Mama Yang Gang, listen close. Here's the thing about Iowa. These towns are extremely small. It was 82 miles from the last event to this event, right? 82 miles. I did not go through a single town until I got here. They're all small venues. They're all small. And it's just the way it's structured here. That's all. That's why, all these people are so important. And we're able to, after these events and stuff, I'm able to actually talk to people who are going to see Andrew, who are going through the line and stuff, because they're asking who we are. They're asking who I am. And I'm getting the Yang people at a much bigger rate. And being at these events allows me to talk to those people. the real news media instead of me, fake news media. So that's why this is so important. Man, I'm telling you, gang, Iowa is so important. And if we can get the people in these awesome towns to caucus for Andrew Yang, man, we can win these precincts. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. These people are important. Important people. We're all not important. Come on, you know what I mean? I mean, election-wise. It's just the way it is. Oh, we got to. I'm getting photographed. We got to get the word out, man. We got to get the word out. And look, I've been running on East Coast time since I got here. I think the event's at like 6, right? Thank you for that, John Malkovich. You know what? It's my favorite actor. John Malkovich, he's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Susan Hunter, thank you. First super chat. Special shout outs to you for the first super chat. Thank you so much. A beer would be nice right now.
Standing there with a gun and all that stuff. And Secret Service on the pile out.
Dang, I want a beer so bad. No, I have not had anything to eat today except for like a few chips and cheese this morning. That's what I've eaten all day. I haven't had time. It's been one event after the other and driving in between, trying to beat Andrew Yang here. So look, check this out. So I left the last event, right? And I'm hauling ass down the road. And I'm passing people who are slower than me. You know, and I get to the stop sign to turn left, and I happen to look back, and I see the bus, and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Man, that bus driver, that dude should be on Need for Speed. He is great. Shout outs to him. That is one hell of a bus driver. So as soon as I turned left, and I knew that they were behind me, I felt like the devil was on my heels, y'all. I was driving like that. Yeah, so they're probably already here, so I might have made some pretty good time.
I just thought when he said I'll take
This
care
is
of
here in
that,
Iowa, man. Dude, it's like,
have a day off.
it's crazy because it's just like straight roads, and they go forever.
You want to go to the bathroom?
Please interview some of the older brothers here. I will. Don't worry.
Probably got it checked out right now.
We're awesome at our job. People like them. They talk to us. Any police on those long stretches of road? I didn't see any. I did not see any. So, I'm going to turn the camera and let y'all see the crowd. Looks to be a good mix from every generation here, gang.
Every time I pull up there, there's 10, 12 cars parked out front.
Yes, rest in peace, Kobe. Lord, that's all I heard on the news on the way over here. It's a horrible tragedy. Him and his daughter, rest in peace. Prayers for that family. Stop talking about it in the chat now. Thanks. Jeez. That's all we're talking about. can we talk about some happy stuff? Like unicorns and ponies, Vermin Supreme. Let's talk about him. So there are a lot of people. Y'all don't understand. Look back over my shoulder. That's a. So we're trying to occupy as little space as possible. We're gonna have to have a little more than that. So there are a right good number of people here, y'all. This place is about packed out. So you figure, hey, I don't know, gang. There's a lot of people here. Why are there only 100? There's more people in this bar right now than there are in this chat and on this channel. Y'all make sure you tweet this out there, Facebook it, whatever you other social media platforms you use. Make sure you get some people on here. Give me y'all front row seat to Andrew Yang all day, every day. That's fine. It's cool. Whatever. Make sure you get this out there. We need more eyeballs on there.
Are you using a stool behind you?
No, go ahead. Absolutely.
You got a good view? With me right
Yeah,
here?
you good.
All right.
Good.
What'd you say?
So,
Oh, sure.
there are so many people that took the last stool that was sitting there. No kidding. I am not kidding you right now. I did say tweet it out. Hey look, Zach's gonna go over there and be in front of the bathroom. Zach, Zach. He's gonna be in front of the bathroom. He's gonna be in front of the
Poor James Conner.
You're gonna have to stay small.
Everybody's talking about LeBron James already gave him a hustle.
So you're gonna have to stay small because you're over there in front of that bathroom.
Yeah.
Because we just had the campaign lady just ran us out from over there. And then she ran me out from over there. She ran me in.
Block this area.
Can you corner?
They told me to move.
There we go. Fuck it.
Hi, Ford.
That is Matt over there, y'all. He is stationed in front of the toilets. But he may be able to get a better shot of him. I don't know what. But we just got ran off from over there. So anyway, guess I should have drove faster. We're loading. That's gotta suck because I moved out from over there because I didn't want to be blocking people going to the bathroom in the saloon.
Oh, good.
Whatever. Yes, like, share, subscribe, donate if you can. Somebody asked in the chat how many of these events we're going to cover. Bro, we're going to be here up until caucus time. And I know somebody just put in the chat that, they want to see me canvassing and all that, and we'll definitely make sure that we get out for some of that. But I'm telling you, my voice to the Iowans here is much bigger when I'm at these events where Andrew Yang is at. I'm much more effective here.
Good, you?
It's two different cats.
What's
two
new?
different animals. You gotta just do the math.
We passed
man. Look
the
at-
bus as we came through Pomeroy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
How many people here right now? I am much better able to talk to them, like before, and especially after these events. You know, and that's how I get in front of those guys. I got a photo of the bus, as a matter of fact. Thank you, QHSS. I don't know if I am or not, but I just try to connect with people. And I found out that a lot of times the best way to connect with people is to just get on their level. And quite honestly, I understand being broke.
Sounds good.
I am the broke folk. I'm the epitome of the broke folk. We have 11,000 subscribers on this channel. And a lot of people watch. But you would be surprised that the actual number of people that donate is very, very few. Because a lot of us are the broke folk.
Chandler,
And we understand that.
you can't be on the phone relaying
It doesn't matter
information.
to us if your eyeballs are enough. But if you can donate, please do. If you can afford it, we appreciate it because it took a half a tank of gas just to get to this event from the last event. Do the math on that, y'all. It's a lot of miles. It took me 2 days to be driving to get out here, for sure. That freedom dividend wouldn't matter to us. I would have it, but you know what? It's important for us to get Andrew Yang elected. That's all that matters to us. And that means getting out to these events. Thank you, Andrew.
I know.
Thank you. Rest in peace, Kobe. Be safe, grassroots. Yang back in the debates for sure. And we're gonna see if the grassroots Yang Gang family can get 2 tickets to the debates in New Hampshire. I feel like we've done a lot. And it would be incredible honor to actually make it to the debates that are going to be in New Hampshire. It would be very special to us, for sure. So we're going to try to see if we can make that happen. Obviously, we can't stream it or anything. You can be sure that I can be loud. And I think Mama Yang can be loud too. Andrew Yang is the humdinger of it. Here's this Yang Yang. Think about this. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I love Andrew to death. And I kind of feel like he does me too. And a lot of y'all who have been following this channel have seen our interactions. I think he would be a different guy if I was there at the debates. If he knew I was there, I think he would be a different guy. I think he would just, I don't know, I might be able to give him an extra little nine-tailed fox energy. You know what I'm saying? Just like blasting on the stage with it. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else watch that movie? I'm a man of culture. You know what I'm saying? I got Naruto socks. No, that is definitely not a MAGA hat. It's not MAGA. And it wouldn't matter if it was. I talked to him like he was my brother. It doesn't matter. We're coming from all sides. We all came from a different camp when we heard Andrew Yang. They photobomb. That's cool. So, I don't know. If we could get to the debates, I would be super stoked. And I think we could just give him that little extra. You know what I'm saying? This place is packed, y'all. Let's turn this camera around.
I would have been for her running last time, but I was saying now they're not.
Why are there only 150 people on this live stream? Come on, y'all. Y'all using your hashtags right? Using your hash browns? Get this out there. Tweet it out there to the Yang gang. We are in Iowa. Yanging people in Iowa. Can't get no better than that. Yanging in New Hampshire, yanging in South Carolina. Y'all, do you realize that we have been to... Hold on. Let me see if I do the math on this right. We've been to early voting state South Carolina, early voting state New Hampshire, early voting state Iowa. Ooh, we're missing Nevada, right? Is that it? I'm gonna put it in the chat. Somebody, I need somebody to sign up to be a precinct captain in where? A precinct captain in Crawford County, Iowa. That way I don't have to. Whoa. If you have a chance to be a precinct captain in Iowa, man, you better take that shit. Do you know what I would give to be in your shoes right now? If you would let me caucus for Andrew Yang, I promise you I'd deliver the state. Man, you got an opportunity in your hands. What? I wouldn't give that up for nobody. Boy. Man, you better get that out of the chat. Come on, man. Tighten up. You got this shit. Go in there and be Yang Gang. Bring the heat, man. Nobody can stand up to this campaign. Nobody. Elizabeth Warren doesn't have the policies. Bernie's too old and outdated. Joe Biden's done. Booty's not got the support. Come on, man. We got this. If I could caucus, oh my God, you got me fired up, man. We can win this. Y'all don't understand, dude. None of the other people's policies can compare with Andrew Yang. Do the math. I don't care who you are. I'm yanging you because your policies don't matter. That shit that you're talking does not matter in my life. Okay. We got an agreement. We have an accord. Sorry, man. I get fired up, y'all. Whew. Thank you so much for that super chat. Man. I'm telling you, dude. Look, I'm passionate about this because you can't, there's nothing that I've ever seen in my years of following politics that can move this country forward like Andrew Yang's policies. I know that there's things that could be fleshed out, and I know that there are things that can be, dialed in, man, if you can catch just the humanity first vision that this guy has for the country, we got one shot. We got one shot at this. That's it. It's now or never. If your ass ain't out there doing everything you can, then you need to do better. If we got to be the change that we want to see in this world, because it's all we can do.
Yeah, registered as an earthquake.
Let me turn this around. I'm going to start getting emotional. White House stands for the Secret Service. Oh, you wouldn't want me in the Secret Service. I can't keep a secret with my big man.
They thought they had him traveling the mountain.
I'm just kidding. I'm actually very good at keeping secrets.
That's her.
Okay, that's what y'all see that over there. Look, that's where Andrew will be coming in.
like a semi.
You know what? Bernie might be drawing thousands to his events. One, Bernie's ideas have been here for a while, and people have been fighting for them for a while. And I think that's part of the pull of Bernie. They still want to get their ideas out there, and they still want to be heard, but the problem is their ideas are outdated. Their ideas were meant for 20 years ago, y'all. They would have helped my parents' generation, perhaps, but they won't help my generation. They won't help my son's generation. So if you want to help those generations, then you need to come on over to the Yang Gang, because this is the only place to be that's gonna change shit. Who does more events, Bernie or Yang? Most definitely Andrew Yang does way more events than Bernie Sanders. So while Bernie Sanders is pulling a lot of people in these big cities, guess what? Andrew Yang is coming to all these small towns. And he's taking that bus down the Hawkeye Road. And he's hitting these small towns. And he's going to win these precincts. That's how that happens. That's how we win. Small towns like these. Small towns like these. And he has got everybody. I'm telling you what, look, this place is packed. Didn't you hear me when I said I drove 82 miles to get here from the last event, and I did not see a town. No town in between here and there. This place is packed. That means most of the people here are from this town, and they're here to see Andrew Yang. And when you come to see Andrew Yang, you end up Yang Gang. Do the math. This is, put it in the chat, Mama Yang Gang. It's, I can't remember. Mama Yang Gang will put it in the chat. Somebody will put it in the chat. Look, I'm telling you, man, we're gonna do, come Caucus Day. You watch. Andrew Yang is coming out here with delegates. What?
Hello, everyone. How are we doing tonight? Oh, come on, we can do better than that. How are we doing tonight?
Yeah!
Thank you. My name is Caitlin. I hope you are just as excited as I am to see our next president. But if you are not as excited as me yet, I promise that after hearing me speak, you absolutely will. To help prove me right, I just want to remind you of these cards that you were given when you came in. If not, I can give one to you right after I speak. It's a chance for you to let us know what your thoughts were real quick before and after the event, just by making a quick circle around 2 numbers, and that's it. Also, in addition to that, I have some lovely volunteers in the back here. If you can raise your hand, ladies, who have some clipboards. We are looking for volunteers as much as possible. Of course, it's campaigning season, so we want to get the word out as much as possible. We want to talk to people. We want to spread the word. We want to talk about all the problems of the 21st century that we can solve with 21st century solutions. So, without further ado, I will introduce to you your Democratic County Chair, Jerry Dubuque.
First, I want to say that the caucus in Lorenz for the Swan Lake Precinct will be at the Lorenz Marathon School, not where it was last time at the bank downtown. But these caucuses used to be in people's houses. This caucus system has been going on for more than 100 years in the Democratic Party. But back when I was a younger person, they changed the rules on how Iowa's delegation to the National Convention would be selected. And when they did that, these caucuses became much more important. And people who wanted to influence the outcome of the caucus started coming here to see us. One of them is here tonight. If you have ever worried that your job will go to a robot someday, Andrew Yang has your back. Mr. Yang worries that automation will displace not just the truck drivers and factory workers that make Lorenz the busiest little town in Iowa, but robots may also be coming to replace bookkeepers, bartenders, and even lawyers like Mr. Yang. Andrew Yang founded the nonprofit company Venture for America to address the problem that he foresees. But more than that, he's also running for president. Let's welcome the only candidate who has come to Lorenz this time, Mr. Andrew Yang.
Let's go, Andrew!
Thank you, Jerry. Hello, Lorenz. Woo! It's great to be here. It's a bar, my favorite place to be. What do you drink?
We'll have Q&A at the end. One question till the end, please.
Speech first, then the drink. Occasionally I get thanked for running for president, and when I do, I just want to say thank you to my wife Evelyn, who's here with us tonight. Because, one, she let me run in the first place, and number two, she's been sacrificing much more than anyone in our family over the last number of months. So I love you so much, baby. Thank you so much. It is a thrill to be campaigning here in Iowa because you all are among the most powerful, influential people in our country today. I know it does not feel like it. You're just doing your thing, decided to check out a presidential candidate. But I did the math. Do you know how many Californians each Iowan caucus goer is worth? 1,000 Californians each. That's right. So look around this bar. How many of us are here tonight? I will give a Trumpian estimate. There are 800 people at this bar. It's the biggest gathering. I think there are about 40 people here tonight, and 40 Iowans is like one football stadium worth of Californians. That's why it's a thrill to address you. That's why it's a privilege to be campaigning down the home stretch right before the voting starts on February 3rd. Now, how many of you are here, or actually, how many of you have seen a political ad with my face on it, my name? Well, that's great, because we spend a lot of money on those ads. I'd be very sad if you had not seen at least one. So if you've seen those ads and you heard Jerry's introduction, I am not a career politician, I'm an entrepreneur and problem solver. And I'm here to address a challenge that our country's been struggling with for the last number of months, really. And we've been confused about it, in my opinion, for most of that time. So that challenge is this, and I know in this county that you'll be able to relate to this. Why did Donald Trump win Iowa by almost 10 points? Why did Donald Trump win Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all of these swing states? If you turned on cable news at any point over the last number of years, why would you think that he is our president today? According to the news media and the talking heads.
Emails.
Russia, Hillary Clinton, emails, Facebook, Electoral College, FBI perhaps. But I'm a numbers guy, Lorenz, and the numbers tell a very, very clear story that I think many of you can relate to. And Jerry suggested this story a little bit before. We eliminated 4 million manufacturing jobs in this country over the last number of months. And where were those jobs located? Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, and 40,000 right here in Iowa. I have been to those towns, and after the manufacturing jobs dried up, the shopping district closed, people left, the school shrank, and that community has never recovered. I saw the same pattern play out in Missouri, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, because I spent the last 7 years running a nonprofit that helped create jobs in those places. And I realized that my work was like pouring water into a bathtub that had a giant hole ripped in the bottom. It was just getting bigger and faster, coming out. My organization was so successful that I was honored by the Obama administration multiple times, so I got to bring Evelyn to meet the president. My in-laws were very excited about me that week. But I knew that what happened to the manufacturing jobs is now shifting to other parts of our economy. How many of you have noticed stores closing around where you live and work here in this part of Iowa? And why are those stores closing?
Amazon.
A lot of it is Amazon. 10, 12 years ago, you might have said Walmart. Well, it's like a tank that came to Iowa and just started running over mom and pop retailers. But now it's Amazon, which is more like a spaceship hovering over everything, sucking up $20 billion in business every year. 30% of Iowa's stores and malls are now closing because Amazon is sucking up that business. I was just in a mall yesterday that the JCPenney had just closed in. And we all know that a mall can go from cheery to spooky pretty quickly when the stores start closing. The most common job in the economy is retail clerk. The average retail clerk is a 39-year-old woman making between $8 and $12 an hour. What is her next job when the store or mall she's working at closes? We're not sure. How much did Amazon pay in taxes last year?
Zero.
Zero. That is your math, Lorenz. 20 billion out, 30% of your stores close. You get zero back. You can see the changes around us, but the changes are even more widespread and pervasive throughout our economy. When you all call the customer service line of a big company and you get the bot or software on the other end, I'm pretty sure you do the same thing I do, which is you pound 000, say human, representative, over and over again until you get someone on the line. Raise your hand if that's what you do. Oh yeah, we all do that because that software is miserable, right? You all think a human works for this company's software and I will now find that person. But in 2 or 3 short years, the software will sound like this. Hey Andrew, how's it going? What can I do for you? It'll be fast, seamless, efficient. What will that mean for the 2.5 million Americans who work in call centers right now making $10 to $14 an hour? Here in Iowa, you have seen this play out over the last number of years. You saw the consolidation and mechanization of many of your agriculture and farming jobs. Then you saw it wipe out 40,000 manufacturing jobs. Now it's on your main streets, shutting 30% of your stores and malls. The next stop will be your highways. How many of you all know a truck driver here in the state? My friends in California are working on trucks that can drive themselves. They say they're 98% of the way there. A self-driving truck just transported 20 tons of butter from California to Pennsylvania 4 weeks ago with no human intervention. Why did they choose butter for this maiden voyage? I have no idea. But if you Google robot butter truck, you will see this story pop up. And at the end of the route is a giant stack of pancakes, as high as, I'm making up the pancakes. But the butter truck is real. Everything else I just said is real. What will self-driving trucks mean for the 3.5 million truck drivers in our country, or the 7 million Americans who work at truck stops, motels, and diners that rely upon the truckers getting out and having a meal every day? How many of y'all have been to Iowa 80 in Davenport? Yeah, me too. It's got a really good buffet. Iowa 80 says 5,000 people stop there every day. How many people will stop there if the trucks no longer have drivers? Lorenz, we're in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in the history of our country, what experts are calling the 4th Industrial Revolution. When's the last time you heard a politician say 4th Industrial Revolution? Just now. 3 seconds ago. And I'm barely a politician. Evelyn can vouch for the fact that I never imagined myself running for president. If she thought I was going to do this when we were dating, she would have run the other direction. And certainly... Yeah, she's nodding. Again, thank you so much, baby. When I was growing up, my parents were not like, you're going to be president someday. They were more like, you're terrible, go clean your room. It's not like, I am Asian. Look at me. It's like not like Asian parents are like, you're going to be president. Facts. But imagine being an entrepreneur who'd help create jobs throughout the Midwest and the South, realizing that the changes were getting more and more extreme, and then knowing that your country, for whatever reason, wasn't even grappling with what was happening, this epic, historic, economic, and technological transformation. So I went to our leaders in DC and I said, what are we going to do to help our people manage this transition? And what do you think the folks in DC said to me when I said, what are we going to do? Nothing, I don't care. At another event, someone made that Scooby-Doo like, ooh, oh. The answers I got out of DC were these. Andrew, we cannot talk about this. Number 2, Andrew, we should study this. And number 3, we must educate and retrain all Americans for the jobs of the future. How many of you have ever heard a politician say something like that? That's pretty familiar, right? We've all heard that. It doesn't sound terrible, But I'm the numbers guy. I went looking at the studies. Do you all want to guess how effective the government-funded retraining programs were for the manufacturing workers who lost their jobs in the Midwest? You know it's low because I'm anchoring you low, but you also know it's low because you know human beings. You know if you lose your manufacturing job, you don't march out and be like, I'm here for my coding training program, I'll be coding in no time. I mean, it's laughable because we know it's ridiculous. The success rates of these programs were between 0 and 15%. They're a dud. The truth is that almost half of the manufacturing workers who lost their jobs in the Midwest left the workforce and never worked again. Of that group, almost half filed for disability. We then saw surges in suicides and drug overdoses in these communities to the point where America's life expectancy has now declined for the last 3 years in a row. You know the last time America's life expectancy declined 3 years in a row? World War II is a good guess. The Great Depression is a good guess. Never is a good guess. But it is the Spanish flu of 1918, a global pandemic that killed millions around the world. You have to go back 100 years because it's highly unusual in a developed country for life expectancy to go down. It ordinarily goes up because you're getting richer, stronger, and healthier, and people are living longer. But here in the US, it's gone down and then down and then down again. So when I said this to the folks in DC, someone said something that brought me here to you all tonight in Lorenz. He said, Andrew, you're in the wrong town. No one here in DC will do anything about this. Because fundamentally, Washington, DC is a town of followers, not leaders. And the only way we will do something about it is if you were to create a wave in other parts of the country and bring that wave crashing down on our heads. And I said, challenge accepted.
Yeah!
So that's why I'm here with you tonight, and that's why I'm thrilled to be here with you tonight, because you are that wave. You can actually rewrite the rules of the 21st century economy so that they work for you and your families and not these mega companies that are just sucking you dry. Right now, I'm either 4th or 5th in national polls to be the Democratic nominee. And I'm someone no one had ever heard of 12 months ago, honestly. So how the heck did I come to outcompete 6, 8 senators, governors, members of Congress? It's because I understand the real problems on the ground in our communities, and I know how we can actually start solving them. We can't wait for DC to solve these problems. DC does not work for us anymore. Who does DC work for?
Corporation.
The big companies that have had their run of the place for years, even decades. It's one reason why Trump did so well among so many Americans, because when he said he wanted to drain the swamp, a lot of Americans said yes.
Yep.
Washington, D.C. today is the richest city in our country. What do they produce? We are not sure. But whatever their business is awfully good. Donald Trump said he wanted to drain the swamp. Lorenz, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to distribute the swamp. What do I mean by that? Why would you employ hundreds of thousands of workers in the most expensive city in the country? Why wouldn't you move some of those jobs to Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Iowa? You would save billions of dollars right off the bat because costs would be much lower any place else in the country. And I would argue that these agencies would make better decisions because they'd actually live someplace among normal people and not in the DC bubble.
Yeah.
I'm for term limits for members of Congress.
Yeah.
We should be sending people to do your work in DC and then come home. They should not go there and say, ooh, I like it here. Let me stay. I'll stay as long as possible. And I know how we can actually pass term limits. Thanks to you all, I will be your president a year from now.
Yes.
And then I will go to Congress and say, hey, we should have 12-year term limits so that you can actually do the people's work and then go home. And here's how we pass it. We say 12-year term limits, but current lawmakers are exempt. You think they'll pass that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll pass that the next day. They'll say, we do this for the American people. Because they'd be exempt. They're like super legislators. They get to just do their thing. They're like, ooh, this doesn't apply to me. But eventually they would lose and get phased out, and we'd wind up with a legislature that actually works for us.
There we go.
We have to take some of the value that's getting drained out of our communities and bring it back. And I know if you've seen the advertisements, you know that I have a very big proposal, which is that every American should get $1,000 a month starting at age 18. Raise your hand if that seemed like a gimmick, a joke, impossible, too good to be true. Go ahead and raise your hand. I understand. But this is not my idea, and it's not a new idea. Thomas Paine was for this at the founding of our country. He called it the citizen's dividend for all Americans. Martin Luther King, whose birthday we celebrated this week, was fighting for this in 1968 when he was killed, the guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. And I know he was fighting for this because I met with his son in Atlanta, and he said this is what his dad was fighting for. 1,000 economists, including Milton Friedman, one of the godfathers of modern economic thought, endorsed this plan in the 60s. It was so mainstream, it passed the US House of Representatives twice in 1971 under Richard Nixon. The Family Assistance Plan would have guaranteed an income level for all American families. And 11 years later, one state actually passed a dividend where now everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that?
Alaska.
Alaska. And how does Alaska pay for it?
Oil.
And what is the oil of the 21st century?
Information.
That's right, man. Attention. It's technology, data, AI, self-driving cars and trucks. A study just came out that said that our data, your data, is now worth more than oil. How many of you saw that study? How many of you got your data check in the mail last month? If your data is now worth billions of dollars a year and you are not seeing a dime of it, then where is all of that money going?
Facebook, Amazon.
Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, the trillion-dollar tech companies that are paying zero or near zero back into our society. If you get some of that value back and you say we should take our tiny fair share of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, every data sale, we can pay for $1,000 a month for every American adult just like that. Particularly because after this money's in your hands, where will it go? How much of it would be spent right here in Iowa?
Most of it.
Most of it. Not all of it. You might get your own Netflix password. But most of it would go to car repairs you've been putting off, and daycare expenses, and Little League signups, and local nonprofits, and religious organizations, and Democratic Party dues, if that's your thing. It's some hard thing. I wasn't being negative. This is a trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. Unlike anything else that people have been talking about, this would work, and this would work for rural areas in particular. I talked to state legislators in Des Moines, and representatives from rural areas came to me and said this is the only thing they've heard of that would actually work to give rural communities here in Iowa and around the country a real path forward. Because the fact is you are getting sucked dry, and the extreme nature of the winner-take-all economy is only going to speed up. Technology is getting stronger and faster and smarter all the time. How about us? We're lucky to stay the same, honestly. Evelyn and I have 2 boys, 4 and 7, they're getting smarter. You know what I mean? Like our kids are getting smarter. Like the rest of us are hoping just to stay more or less like, in place. But that's not the way this technology is working. This technology is reaching unprecedented levels. And here in Iowa, you all are ground zero for the effect this has on your communities. It started on your farms with the mechanization of a lot of those agricultural jobs and the consolidation of a lot of the farms into these giant mega farms. Then it shifted to your factories, wiping out tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs. Now it's on your main street, shutting 30% of Main Street stores and malls. You have to stop it before it hits your highways. It is only you, Iowa. On February 3rd, you have to take this case to the rest of the country and say the economy works for us instead of the other way around. Mm-hmm. Instead of thinking that economic value and human value are the same things, we have to say to our fellow Americans that we all have intrinsic value as Americans, as citizens, and as shareholders of the richest country in the history of the world.
Yeah.
We have to do this in part because of what's happening to our kids' prospects. How many of you are parents like me and Evelyn? If you are a parent, you have had this sinking feeling at some point in the recent past that we're leaving a future for our kids that is less stable, less secure, and less prosperous than the lives that we have led. And the reason we feel that way as parents is because it's true. If you were born in the 1940s in the United States of America, there was a 93% chance you were going to do better than your parents did. That's the American dream. That's what brought my family here and Evelyn's family here. That's what we all aspire to for our kids. But if you were born in the 1990s in this country, you're down to a 50-50 shot and it's declining fast. That is what we have to turn around. We have to actually believe that our kids' prospects will be brighter than ours. And there are very, very few ways to make that happen that don't involve something like what I'm talking about, which is actually investing directly in our kids and their future. Imagine a country where all of us could look our kids in the eyes and say, your country loves you, your country values you, and your country will invest in you. And actually know that to be true. So in this context, this dividend of $1,000 a month, instead of being dramatic or far out, it's actually necessary and inevitable. Because the extreme nature of this economy is about to really ramp up. And when I started running, Evelyn and I were talking about it, she said, how is it that what was so mainstream 50, 60 years ago, common sense, right there, almost became law, passed in one state, now somehow requires the futuristic Asian man to drag it back in law? Like, what the heck happened over those 50 years? And what happened over those 50 years is that we all got conditioned to think of ourselves as inputs into the economy, and that economic value and the market value tells us how much we're worth. That's how you wind up with people saying things like we should turn coal miners into coders. Because that does not make any sense on the face of it if you give that a moment's thought. The only way it makes sense is if you think that coal miners have no value unless we magically transform them into something that the market likes better. And that is a loser. Instead, we have to say, look, we're the richest country in the history of the world, and the machines have to start working for us instead of plugging us all into the machine.
For sure.
We're being told how great things are in our economy, and if you turn on the news, you see it. Record high GDP, stock market prices, corporate profits. You know what else are at record highs in the United States of America right now? Suicide rate, depression, student loan indebtedness, financial insecurity, substance abuse, drug overdoses. You know what are at record lows in the United States right now? Business formation for young people, getting married, having kids. Anything that you associate with a thriving society is now at record lows. But corporate profits are up. If corporate profits are going up and your life expectancy is going down, which do you listen to? That's the change we have to make, Lorenz. Instead of saying that corporate profits will tell us how we're doing, as your president, I will measure our economic progress by how we are doing. I will measure it through health and life expectancy, mental health and freedom from substance abuse, how our kids are doing, how many of us can retire in quality circumstances, clean air and clean water. These are the actual measurements of progress that we need. And as your president, I will present these measurements to you every year at the State of the Union. I'll be the first president to use a PowerPoint deck at the State of the Union. If you like that, then this is definitely the campaign for you. But we have a really dramatic measurement problem in our country, where if you're being told things are great and you know things are not great, that's going to have really disastrous effects over time. We have to acknowledge what the problems are if we're going to have a chance to solve them. I'm not running for president because I dreamt about being president. Evelyn can attest to this. I'm running for president because I see the future that lies ahead for our children, and they deserve better.
Hear, hear.
For sure.
But we need your help to make this case on February 3rd. I guarantee you, if we win Iowa, we're going to win New Hampshire, and I'll be your next president.
That's for sure. For sure.
Donald Trump is our president today because he had a very, very clear message that everyone understood. He said he was going to make America great again. What did Hillary Clinton say in response?
It's already great.
America is already great. You remember that, Lorenz? It's been a long 3 years, I know. But it's now coming to an end. That response did not work for many, many Americans because the problems are real. They do exist. We have to stop acting like Donald Trump is the source of all of our problems. He's not. He's a symptom of a greater disease that now we have to cure. The problems are real, and we have to acknowledge their depth and severity, but then we need solutions that will actually move your communities, our country, forward. What were Donald Trump's solutions? Build a wall, turn the clock back, bring the old jobs back. Lorenz, we have to do the opposite of these things. We have to turn the clock over. We have to accelerate our economy and society to rise to the real challenges of the 21st century, like climate change. We need to evolve in the way we see ourselves and our work and our value. I am the ideal candidate for this job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Ed. You may not know this, but math is an acronym, and what does it stand for?
Make America think harder.
Make America think harder, that's right. That's your job on February 3rd. It's your job to move this country we love so much. Not left, not right, but forward. And I know that's just where you're going to take us. Thank you all. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you. Thank you. We'd love to take some questions.
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes for questions. One question per person. So raise your hand and I'll bring it.
Go ahead, shout out, sir.
What's your tax plan? Because I'm assuming you got a tax plan to pay for all this. Because I'd like to have my $1,000. Actually, I want 10% what they pissed away on the impeachment.
For sure. That's for sure.
That is more. That's actually a reasonable summary of my tax plan. So my tax plan is to set up a mechanism where we get a tiny slice of every transaction that's happening in the financial world, in the tech world, and then we take that money and we put it into our hands. Then when we get that money, it goes through the economy and circulates several times over. So one of the jokes I tell is, you remember this Willie Sutton joke, like, why do you rob the banks? Because that's where the money is, right? That's what we have to do. Like, where's the money going? It's going to the Amazons and Jeff Bezos of the world. So I use Bezos as an example because everyone knows it. Jeff Bezos is worth $115 billion post-divorce. So the question is, how do we actually capture more of the money that's heading to Jeff and Amazon? So we set up a toll on his $1 trillion tech company so that we're getting a tiny bit of value. That generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And then he takes out $1 billion a year and buys rocket ships to Mars. This is true. And you take a toll on that too. So then you get hundreds of millions of dollars from Jeff and his business, maybe even billions of dollars pretty quickly over time. That's how my tax plan works, and I'm not making any of this up. I'm not that creative a guy. Other countries have already started doing this. This is based on a plan that's been in effect in most other developed countries for years, and it has worked. And it's impossible to game your way out of, because if you're selling to us, you're paying. Whose fault is it that Amazon's paying nothing in taxes? Yeah, it's our fault. So we have to get our shit together, am I right?
Yeah.
Sir.
Yes, you on your website promise 11% growth with this policy. How will that happen? Are there examples?
Thanks. So that number was based on a study by a group called the Roosevelt Institute, where they tried to project what would happen if we put $1,000 a month into everyone's hands, and would grow the consumer economy by approximately 10%, because that money just circulates over and over again. And you can imagine right here in Lorenz, would you be more likely to go to this bar if you had an extra $1,000?
Yeah.
Would you be more likely to go? I don't know what's across the street, but you can see like the activities just end up adding up to about 10% more than what we're currently doing. And there's no reason that would actually end, because you continuously have the money and it replenishes. The beauty of it, though, is that as this money flows through your hands, it's going to make us healthier, less stressed out, more able to do the kind of work that we want to do. Right now, I know how bad our economic measurements are, in part because of Evelyn. Evelyn's at home with our 2 boys every day, one of whom is autistic. How much is her work valued at in our market economy?
0.
0. And it's not just Evelyn, it's caregivers, it's volunteers, it's coaches, it's people that are trying to do positive things in the community. So we can grow our economy by 10% and start rewarding the work that's already being done in our homes, in our families, and in our communities that actually are vital to making us stronger and healthier. But this is not my plan, and this is not my projection. The Roosevelt Institute studied this plan and said it would grow the economy by about 10%.
Are there examples?
So the examples are, I went through every example of people getting this kind of cash transfer in the world, and there were always the same effects, where people got happier, less stressed out, the money got spent. And so if you look at any of the trials, the effects are very, very consistent. The places where people have gotten money in these ways, one is Alaska, 2 is various Indian tribes in various parts of the country, 3 is a lot of exercise in the developed world, like India's rolling this out. There are Scandinavian countries that have versions of it, and the results have always been very, very consistent. So that's what the Roosevelt Institute is using. But here's the kicker. The United States of America gave thousands of dollars to thousands of Americans in the 60s to try this out ourselves. And the data was really positive then. Can you imagine a government that was actually doing that just to try and figure stuff out? But today, our government is way behind the curve. And so we're relying upon other people, generally philanthropists, to do what we should be doing ourselves. The other thing I'm going to say too is that this is your money already. You're a shareholder of the richest country in the history of the world, $21 trillion and counting. All of this money is getting sucked out. We're just trying to give it back to you. And if it's your money, then you know what to do with it. I think that you know better how to improve your life than any government official or program ever could.
For sure.
Can you explain your value-added tax a little more? And other candidates have talked about a wealth tax. Can you just touch on that? And then I hear a lot of concerns about the freedom dividend causing inflation. Can you also touch on that? Thank you.
No problem, man. These are good questions. I'm going to start with inflation because it's on your minds a little bit. What's your favorite restaurant in town? Wow. The deli. This kind of an imperfect example then. I guess I'll try the deli and see if this works. Taco Tuesday here, this is Donovan. All right, I'll still use the deli. How much is a sandwich at the deli? $5. All right. So after I'm president, thank you again, Lorenz. You start getting $1,000 a month. You go to the deli, and then the sandwich, instead of being $5, is $8. What do?
You're going down the road.
You'd be like, wait a minute, like that's a lot more than it was yesterday. You're not going to be like, oh, that's cool, I'm rich now. You're still you're still very value conscious and budget conscious. And so you would come here and say like, hey guys, like it's Taco Tuesday, want to get some food here, or you'll go someplace else. Like as long as there's still sensitivity among prices and competition in that space, then you're not going to see massive inflation in that space. And this has been borne out by many, many actual real life examples. There are 3 sources of inflation in our lives that are making us very sad right now: housing, education, and healthcare. And so I have separate plans to try and bring down the costs of education and healthcare in particular, because they're breaking our backs. No one here has ever gotten this letter from their health insurance company: your rates are going to be lower this year. You know what I mean? Their business model is just to try and jack it up every single year. And it's killing us. It's literally killing us. So you have to address inflation in those areas, because that inflation is not happening because we're rich. That inflation is happening because we don't have a choice, and because the government's been out to lunch and just letting them stick it to us for years. So I will bring those costs under control, but there should not be rampant inflation based upon you having buying power, because you're still going to be budget conscious. There's still going to be competition. The question about the wealth tax, I'm a data-driven guy. I try and find when other people have done things. It's one reason I love the value-added tax, because other countries have been using it very successfully for years. Other countries tried the wealth tax, and it did not work, and then they repealed it. That's France, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, pretty smart countries. When they tried it, they were like, hey, this doesn't work, so we're going to repeal it. So I like Bernie and Elizabeth individually. I like a lot of what they're saying. But to me, if you're going to pitch a plan that has not worked in half a dozen other countries, then you should explain why it would work here. And if their explanation is that wealthy people in the US are so much more willing to pay taxes than wealthy people in Germany, France, Sweden, and Denmark, then I just don't believe it. You know, like, if anything, our wealthy people are probably even like less willing. So that's where I am on that particular plan. Like, I understand what they're driving at, but you have to listen to the experiences of other countries, which is why I'm so for this value-added tax that has stood the test of time in many, many other economies. Yes, Miss.
Northwest Iowa, what are you going to do for the farmers and the agricultural community here?
I have heard so many, frankly, heartbreaking stories from farmers throughout the state. And a lot of it is that a lot of the farms have gotten rolled up with these bigger corporations that then have various cost advantages that is very, very hard for an individual farmer to compete against. A lot of it is that the numbers just are not working the way that they should, where you're being pushed to plant a couple of cash crops, corn and soybeans, and that you're not able to make ends meet the way that you were even a number of years ago. And it's particularly problematic for families who might want to pass it on to their kids, but then the kids are not sure if this is what they want. They see, frankly, how hard it's gotten. And then if you're looking to make a change, then it'd be impossible for you actually to find proper value, because if someone's going to give you value, they're going to try and stick it to you. So we have to do what we can to make it so that small farmers in particular actually are competing on level ground against the big guys, and put a lot more money into trying to encourage sustainable agriculture, things that are producing food in this less industrial way that parents are excited to feed to our kids, and then pay more, and then improve the economics of small farmers around this state and around the country. It's a very big challenge, but the challenge that small farmers are facing right now is the same challenge that small businesses and mom and pops are facing in industries around the country, where everyone is getting run over by the big guys. And it's tragic, it's terrible. So I will do everything I can to try and balance it out for you versus the big concerns, increase the economic returns, encourage you to be able to try different things that aren't the same crops that the big guys are planting, because it's very hard to compete against them on cost. And I can pledge that I would get rid of these tariffs and this trade war that you had nothing to do with, and dragging in agricultural production. It's like, what Iowa farmer had anything to do with the Chinese ripping off intellectual property? Like, nobody. So like, why the heck are you getting dragged into this? I talked to farmers who planned for months and years and had that rug pulled out from under them because the prices changed. And as someone who's run a business, I would be furious if that happened. I'd be like, are you kidding me? I've invested on this understanding, and you're going to change the rules on me? As your president, I will not drag you into any of these trade issues that you're not directly involved with. And if something does change, I will make sure you have months and years notice, because that's the way you can plan. You can't plan if I'm just like jerking you around and not giving you any kind of notice on it.
Yeah.
One more question.
How are you going to pass the freedom dividend, like, through Congress?
Thank you, brother. It's a great question. All right, Iowa, check this out. We shocked the world February 3rd. Andrew Yang wins Iowa. Can you imagine the headlines? It'll be like, when that happens, I guarantee we win New Hampshire, because there's a lot of energy in New Hampshire for this campaign. The third party of New Hampshire is libertarians, and libertarians love the freedom dividend. It's half named after them. Various people who are betting money on these sorts of things see me as the heaviest favorite to beat Donald Trump in the general election.
For sure. For sure.
And there are a number of factors in this. One survey said that 18% of college Republicans would choose me over Donald Trump. Another poll said that 10% of New Hampshire Trump voters would choose me over Donald Trump. You know who has figured out that I am the biggest threat to beat Donald Trump? Donald Trump. And you know that because he has tweeted about every other candidate in the field except for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows I'm better at the internet than he is.
That's right.
But his most effective attacks on various candidates are saying that you're a corrupt DC politician. And that stuff does not work on me at all. You know, I'm just an entrepreneur who's trying to make things better for our families. And we know that his team is worried about me because one of them was captured on camera at a private event saying, if there's someone we're worried about, it's Yang.
That's right.
So if I'm the Democratic nominee, we win this thing. And then I get to Congress and I say, hey guys, I won on the freedom dividend, let's get some money into Americans' hands. The Democrats and progressives will be thrilled because I'll be the new president. They'll be like, let's get his flagship proposal passed. But here's the kicker. This is to your question. Republicans and conservatives will look up and say, wait a minute, do I hate the dividend? Alaska, that passed the dividend, is a deep red conservative state and was passed by a Republican governor. Many Republicans and conservatives do not hate money in Americans' hands. What do they hate? A giant bureaucracy making everyone's decisions. So I can get 10, 20% of conservatives on board to say, look, this helps rural areas that you represent. This helps red states on the interior that have gotten blasted by automation. This is a huge win for you and your constituents. I get 10 to 20% of Republicans on board with this. We pass the freedom dividend, and then you all have a feeling you have not experienced in years, which is the government does something you like that actually improves your lives.
Woo!
So we can pass this, but it has to start right here in Iowa on February 3rd. If we win Iowa, I will be your president. And the standard I want you to hold me to is not, do you like me? Am I proud of sending this person on to the White House? But it's, can I improve your way of life right here in Lorenz? If I cannot do that, I should not be your president.
That's right.
Let's give it up one more time to the next president of the United States.
Yeah!
Thank you, Lorenz. Let's take this thing together. Let's do it good so we're actually proud of for our kids. They deserve it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to get a selfie with Andrew or get an autograph, I will have you all line up on the right side of the bar. And we'll start the line right here where I'm standing. So if you could line up along this pool table, along the booths, we'll have Andrew over here to beat you off. Thank you.
Tell me about your car. Well, my Ford guy's dying. Cancer. You want to do something about that Ford?
See, this is what happens when the grassroots gang is here at these events. We bring the energy, always, every time. Got another event coming up. I know y'all want interviews. Y'all always want interviews. We know we get them, but here's the thing. Like, there's limited time in between these events. So what I do is I end up breaking everything down and get the interviews afterwards and stuff. Or sometimes before if I can get there fast enough. But there's one more event, y'all. There's still one more event. Thank you, network. Thank you so much. We appreciate that very much. If you think that we're bringing a value here, y'all go to one of these other videos and make a donation if you can. We got interviews. Y'all, this is the interviews of what we release on the channel. Okay? If we did all interviews like right now, if I just interviewed everybody in here, y'all might be happy with it. Y'all wouldn't watch the channel the next day.
Nobody does.
Love you, Yank Gang. See you on the next one.
He'll be